The thoughts, views, and comments expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on Beyond the Headlines are not necessarily those of management, ownership, or production unit of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is a production of ILTV Studios and cannot be reproduced or represented in part or entirety without express written permission of the Verizon Media Group. Beyond the Headlines is the intellectual property of the Verizon Media Group. Copyright 2021.
Coming up tonight, Junkanoo leaders say enough is enough, while many are asking how and at what point did the upcoming Junkanoo parades become a clown show. One can only imagine Prime Minister Davis tonight too is wondering how did he get involved and where do we go from here. Meantime, a grandmother is sitting in the dark tonight. Her electricity disconnected as a result of owing BPL thousands of dollars. Now get this, you all. Her light bill before September averaged around $131. Since September, that average jumped to more than 630%, over $1,000 a month. Tonight, the question to BPL, how? And the Pilots Association is here to discuss the move to improve the aviation industry, but it's a new mandatory pilots exam that has them up in arms, claiming it could bring about significant disruption to the public. It's all straight ahead for you tonight. This is Beyond the Headlines. Good evening. I'm Shanique Miller. Great to have you along this evening. Top executives from the Junkanoo Corporation of New Providence are saying enough of the drama stemming from the split within the Valley Boys. Those frustrations have boiled over, with the upcoming parades now hanging in the balance, much to the irritation of Junkanoo leaders. We get this story from Jose Etienne, and afterwards, my Hot Topics panel discusses the issue.
Sick and tired. That's how chairman of the Junkanoo Corporation of New Providence, Dion Miller, feels about the ongoing Valley Boys saga, which has the upcoming Boxing Day and New Year's parades now in limbo.
The Junkanoo community and the BMA at large have been dealing with this ridiculous situation involving the Valley Boys for a majority of the year, of this current year. We have repeatedly asked for them to resolve the issue amicably or separate. We have seen the prestigious history on record of the Valley Boys be tarnished.
The JCNP threatened to cancel the upcoming parades after executives accused government of interfering on Junkanoo matters. The Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture noted in a statement that the Way Forward Valley Boys, led by Trevor Davis, is properly registered to participate in the upcoming parades in the A category. That statement being released on the heels of participating groups drawing their numbers.
And now there's an attempt to tarnish the entire Junkanoo community, and we won't stand back for that. And so we're in the preparations now, finalizing our plans to move forward with canceling the parades. We can no longer operate in this vein.
As far as Miller is concerned, the office of the Prime Minister is behind what he says is government interference. This as Trevor Davis and Prime Minister Philip Davis are said to be related.
We have never experienced this level of interference in our entire existence.
Now, Attorney General Ryan Pinder released a statement on Monday advising the JCNP that it does not have the authority to postpone or cancel Junkanoo. At this point, both sides are reportedly locked in conversations to map the way forward. But in the meantime, other Junkanoo group leaders are quite upset with that statement from the Ministry of Culture.
I think it's very offensive to take any group and put them in the A category and give them the funding, and those in the B category. We are lacking funding now for decades.
Others fear that the entire Junkanoo community could watch their time, effort, and resources go down the drain as a result of the ongoing feud between both factions of the Valley Boys.
It's an internal battle that should have been settled in-house, and it really should not have gotten out this far to affect the wider Junkanoo population.
Given the JCNP's frustrations, both parades are said to be in limbo. Jose Etienne, Eyewitness News.
So who's to blame for this mess? I mean, this is colossal. This is a major mess. And who's to blame? The JCNB. and the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture. Because why was the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, or even the JCNP, appearing reluctant since this started many months ago to call these men to the table and say, get this matter cleaned up because it looks sloppy, it looks stupid? We're going to talk about this evening. We're going to jump in right there and talk about the state of Junkanoo, the fact that these parades are hanging in the balance and they may not be able to postpone or cancel it, but they can certainly not show up. So it's a whole lot in the balance and must be ironed out, really. I mean, Jesus, today is the 10th. You all know that? Did anybody ever thought of that part? Like, did they pause and say, what's today's date? That same part right there. And I was told by a reliable source last evening that work has stopped in the shacks. Now, is that true? Well, we'll see. But people are fed up and frustrated with this. It's a sideshow. It really is very distracting to the main thing on Bay Street. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines. We're going to talk about it. Beyond the Headlines contributors, Michael Turnquest and Ellington Ferguson. Gentlemen, good evening to both of you.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas. Pleasure to be here.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas. It's a pleasure to be here once again.
Absolutely. Good to see you both. Why do you suppose the Valley Boys has been allowed, let's start with them first, to just have this matter drag on, to not respect if somebody went and registered a name and then to find another name, or perhaps the person overstepped and registered? I mean, this has just become the most sloppy thing to happen in recent time.
Shanique, I've learned over this past week that, we talk about the process in terms of how these Junkanoo groups came about. And I understand this is all done under culture, Ministry of Culture, whereas though these groups under the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture, they are registered as youth organizations. That's the way they were able to get a certificate, take it to the bank, open up a bank account under whatever name, and whoever brought that group to culture many decades ago. So this is one now we asked. So they're so somewhat legally licensed under culture, but not under what we call, the non-profit organizations, which is considered, should be under the Registrar General as whatever registered name. So this is how these Junkanoo groups have operated over the past years. You have two groups that are now properly, I think one family would have been the first one to register its name properly and go through the right channels as a non-profit, and I think now Roots has done the same. So when you look at that, the government is somewhat at fault because you've allowed these organizations, and with time, business changed. The way we do business, and these groups have become large organizations now getting tons of money donated to each group, year round. So there should be some accountability and transparency in terms of these groups now reporting to their sponsors as a properly registered non-profit organization, whereas the culture is now removed from it. And then, because I understand, once they're registered with culture based on their the name slips my each constitution, each group has their own constitution that regulates them in terms of what takes place yearly in their, whether it be meetings, the elections and things of that sort. So culture leaves the groups to deal with themselves. You cannot do that, especially when you're dealing with monies that are taken from the government and from sponsors around. Whereas though people want transparency, and then you have now you went from a youth group organization, but I don't know if that's the correct name, to now where you at with 300-400 members or 400
thousands.
Plus, right, thousands of members. People look for accountability, and this is what now you have happening in these groups, whereas though you have certain members asking for transparency, accountability, and not getting what's asked for. And now we've allowed this mess to drag on, and the government, I think, is not the JCNP. I'm sure they have their own rules in terms of who is considered a Group A, in terms of how you get to a Group A standard. So now I see why the other members or other groups are.
Rightly so, Ellington. I mean, you wondered when they would speak up, and then to hear them this evening, they have every right to be upset because they wonder how they got caught up in the middle of all this.
Yeah, this is unfortunate that the whole Junkanoo is got caught up in one group's internal affairs. Mr. Miller said that he had told them earlier to get their affairs and get their act together, which is all well and good. It's unfortunate on two fronts that, number one, the government and the JCNP did not meet or do what they need to do prior to now so that they could have been on the same page, so that the JCNP would have been clear on what they can and will do, and the government would have made all of the criteria clear with the JCNP so that they could have been on the same page. However, I think those entities, starting with the JCNP, insert themselves into this internal affair of the Valley Boys and cause some of this mess to start to happen. They should have allowed them to deal with their internal issues and make a decision whether, because of what you're dealing with, we'll have both factions sit this one out or both factions participate in this one, just to make sure.
Make a rule and stand by it.
Exactly.
If you know that is, I don't get it. Like the dollhouse we play. And now the dollhouse has become a pig pen.
Because this has happened over and over. Precedents has been set in the past where a lot of these current groups, whether it be one family, are all split, are all break-offs from.
They will always have that.
So my thing is, if one family, for example, if they started as a group B, when they split off from whether it be the Valley or Saxons, and they moved up the ranks to group A, that's the process, that's the precedents have been set, and that's what should happen for any group that split off from another major group. And I think that's where the JNCP is saying, you know, this is what, or the other members of the JNCP saying, hey, you can't just move, you know, you decide to split. Now, whoever has the name, that's a court, you know, decision in terms of, okay, who is the actual Valley Boys? Then that's considered your group A. But it seems as though this is the fight that they can't, you know.
No. Everybody is reluctant to actually make the call.
Yeah.
That's
the call should have been made earlier.
Like what? Come on now, man.
I would hope that what is happening now with the government and JCNP, that should happen at the initiation of this whole thing, so that they could have been clear as to where they are in this, and not allow it to come to this now that the JCNP, and is a matter of a lot of pride and egos are involved, because here it is, I didn't say this, now you're correcting me, maybe rightfully so, but I didn't put this out there, and so now I gotta try stand up, or it looked like I don't know what I'm doing, or I don't know what I'm saying, and so it caused a bigger friction. But this should have never happened. It should not happen to our #1 cultural event in this country, where Bahamians, not only Bahamians, some Bahamians come from abroad, come back home to attend it. Visitors travel to the Bahamas annually to take part in it. And I think to really to hold the Bahamian people hostage and to use the cancellation of Junkanoo to get your point across, I think is unfair.
Well, unfair. Well, listen, the JCNP is doing what it feels it must, whether the threats are vain or not. And again, Dion, you should have stepped up from the beginning. When you saw this stuff going left, right, and then in all kind of different direction from one court date to the next, you should have said, listen, man, you all cut the shenanigans and get this matter sorted out. Because by a certain time, if it wasn't sorted out, then you all cannot participate in either the boxing or New Year's Day parade or the 2024-2025 season.
You know, it seems as though that the other groups have put the pressure on the JCNP and said, hey, if you're going to allow this to carry on, you know, we are smaller groups. This is the process that we've been through. We're not going to allow you to come to us and say the two of these groups come around Bay as Group A and not go through the same process.
Why do you suppose the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Culture didn't, since it stepped up just today and say, listen, hold up, JCNP, hold up, you're all running a little ahead of yourself. We actually in charge of these parades, etc. Why you suppose that couldn't been said months ago so that this issue could get in hand?
It's either the minister was playing politics. I mean,
I really don't believe that the minister himself is playing politics. I think that the minister was attempting to have a hands-off approach, hoping that this whole thing would have worked itself out. As they get closer and some things began to come into play with this whole thing being in court, and they realize now this is not being resolved, that is where I think the Attorney General office had to kind of step in and point out where some legal issues could play up later on if we handle this the wrong way. And so I can appreciate that, because it would have caused taxpayers, it could cause us a bunch of money should they end up in court with a legal battle, somebody suing the government because they have done something wrong. I think the right way to do is both or neither of them.
But what I don't understand, and this is where now that I've learned what I've learned over the past week or so, you have only two groups that are currently properly registered as non-profit organizations or under the Registrar General. So for years you've had Junkanoo operating, you know, under culture with these certificates that they were received some time ago. Why is it all of a sudden now that when one group decides that, hey, we're splitting, we're going to now register this name, but you have a lot of other groups that are still not registered.
Again, and that's why it goes to the organization or the umbrella that manages it, and also the government ministry that oversees everything. Get it all together. Yeah. We've been talking about making Junkanoo viable and taking it to the world and making it this sort of this real official cultural expression. Yet these people still want to play like hide and seek and want to keep it. And in one instance, they want to keep it exactly where it is.
Right.
And then in another,
become a business.
And then in another, they won't go to the world.
Absolutely,
it's become a business, and there was a lot of money involved. Now everybody is trying to figure out, how could we shake the tree and where the apples and oranges falls off.
And that's the bottom line. You touched on a very good point there. That's the bottom line about this whole thing. The level of monies have been growing over the years and the amount of monies involved. And that's what the members have been calling for. Accountability. See, you got to understand that the Valley Boys has a constitution that calls for annual meetings, that calls for election. That has not been happening.
Has it been happening?
It's not been happening. And that is what the membership has been calling for. And they have a right. They have a legal right to be calling for that.
Their constitution speaks to it.
And so that is one of the things.
Culture is, they're guided by what culture says. Our constitution states that we should have this. Now, when you have a non-profit organization in the Registrar General, those things are required by law. Now you just have where culture now gives them a certificate and say, whatever you're in your constitution, that's what runs your organization.
Absolutely.
Before we wrap this segment, does the Registrar General bear any blame? Meaning, could I have gone in and say, hey, I want to register this Valley Boy's name, and they just accept it without doing sort of some investigation, some due diligence?
Well, Shanique, they normally do investigations, and once that name is not registered, it is available.
That's the extent of the investigation.
This is where the right hand don't know what the left hand is doing, because culture did something years ago that nobody knows about, and the Registrar General doesn't know that these certificates exist. That would have been issued 30 years ago, however long Junkanoo's been going on. I mean, the way we did business 30 years ago is not the same way we did business today. It has evolved, but Junkanoo has evolved in certain parts, but not the actual business side of it has not evolved.
It's not applicable to today, that's for sure. Well, I think I heard the JCNP will finally have its news conference tomorrow. We'll see exactly how that goes. And then we need to know a decision. I mean, I don't know.
Let's go, guys. Don't fool with Junkanoo. Don't mess with
we
that.
need to know exactly whether they're in a rush or what's happening. But we'll stay on top of it here on Beyond the Headlines. This is Beyond the Headlines. We're back right after this.
Cancer Treatment Centers of America is now City of Hope, creating one of the leading cancer care and research networks from coast to coast, providing more of what you need. More locations means more care closer to home. More specialists means more expertise. More research means more breakthroughs. More advancements means more treatment options. And more options means more hope. Call now to get more of the care you need.
On the river of life, where the open waters meet, we are all free to seek our own path. For some, it is a journey to the edge. For others, it's a pursuit of a mind at peace, distilling precious memories as we float where the tide takes us. It can be expeditions of one or relentless pursuits of what eludes us. It matters not. If you hunt, if you gather, there is a personal journey to find where you need to go, to outrun any ticking clock. Through decades, wave after wave of passing time, Sea-Doo has remained here, making each ride a story, because life is unscripted. It's as open as the water. You can decide on the ride of your life.
Get ready to win lucky bucks. Wherever you see this taxi, flag it down.
The boy hard, beating so hard, I will be hard. I'm looking for my first contestant to ride in the lucky taxi. To walk in the taxi, you got to do the lucky walk, Oh, thanks. Man, thank you, sir. 85 times 2 is how much, brother? You leave with $170, brother.
I never expected to win as much as I win.
Very excited when the gentleman picked me to ride inside the taxi.
So if I had to choose a game that would stay, it would be Island Luck Taxi.
You could be next on the Island Lucky Taxi.
Bigger at Island Luck, so don't let your daily inspirations go to waste. Win now with our selection of lottery games. Play now at islandluck.com or at any of our locations. What's your inspiration?
Welcome to Paradise Games, where exceptional service meets the ultimate gaming experience. Our dedicated team is here to make every visit a win.
Now this is paradise.
This is more than just a place to play.
Now this is paradise.
It's where excitement meets world-class service.
Now this is paradise.
Now this is paradise.
Come, experience it for yourself. Now this is paradise.
This segment of Beyond the Headlines is brought to you by EV Motors. Drive the future with brand new 2024 electric vehicles. EV Motors, powering your journey.
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Well, a grandmother, Kim Wallace, lives in a modest house with modest appliances, and really not much has changed in recent years in her home. But tonight, well, you know what's changed? This. Tonight, she's actually in darkness, no electricity, disconnected from the power supply because she's owing thousands of dollars. But how does she come to owe thousands of dollars? Well, she too was wondering that after paying average of $131 a month to now over $1,000, September, October, November. We're going to speak with her this evening and find out exactly what's happening and how she finds herself here and even get an idea of what the bills have been looking like. Good evening to you, Kim. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's just talk. By the way, I see some light behind you, so you able to find light?
Yes, I got some power from...
From where, ma'am?
I got it from my daughter's house.
Oh, you at your daughter's house?
Yes.
Okay, but your house where you live is in darkness?
Yes.
How long have you been disconnected?
Since Monday.
Since Monday. Let's talk about your bill. What is your bill looking like? I understand you went from paying roughly $131 a month before September, and since September to last month, it's been over $1,000.
My bill usually be less than $100, but what happened is I have some kids that I take care of. I do not work. I haven't worked from 2003. I was in the hospital, and my bill usually be low, but when I don't have it, it sort of run up to, like no more than $200. And this last time it ran up to $261, and I paid $131 on it and leave a balance of $131. And in September, I went to pay the bill of $131. Before I step out of my house, Shanique, the BPL car pull up and say they come turn my light off for $3,836.35. How is that?
So you thought you were going to BPL, in fact you were, to pay a balance of $131, but before you even stepped out your yard, they came to shut it off because they said you owed in excess of $3,000.
$3,000, yes, ma'am.
Did you ask them just what you asked me? How was that? Did you ask that?
Yes, I did ask that question, but you know what? All they telling me is, yeah, you used that. That was used. How could that be used from September to now? I'm trying to figure out what it is. I had to take my apostle with me, to keep me firm and prayerful.
Mm-hmm.
so that I can get answers.
Well, what answers are you getting though? Because I mean, to jump from, you say the highest it would be, especially that you babysit, the highest it would be is $200 on a high month. How did it go from $200 on a high month to them telling you did you have some back pay before you paid that 131? I'm sorry, some arrears?
No, I had no bills. Sometimes my bills used to be zero. Up until September, my bill was zero because I keep paying and putting the money on it that it don't go over, not even till $50. And yet I'm in the dark.
What are you doing?
They turned it on for me. I had to pay a balance of $400 for them to turn it on the end of October to the 1st of November.
You mean this year, right? But how did you come to have a balance of $400?
No, that's what I don't understand. They told me that in order for me to turn it on, I have to pay $400 to get it on.
So they had disconnected you before this time here?
Yes, they connected me before. When the $3,830-something came up, they had me off. That's when I was going to pay it that day, and they cut it right off.
Now I see you reading, so obviously you have the bill in your hand.
I have the bill here.
Yes, you cannot explain how the bill got to over $3,000. Even when you went to pay the $400 that they told you, you are still in the dark, literally and figuratively, about exactly how is it that you were owing that amount.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out myself.
Now, Christmas is coming. Do you even have that money? Have you gone and spoken with someone to say, listen, can somebody and maybe collections somewhere, I don't know, what can explain how the bill got to that amount?
All they keep telling me when I went there, they're going to send they're going to send one of their guys to come and check it out for me to see if it's their fault or my fault.
But nobody has showed up?
No one showed up as yet.
Now, Christmas is right here. You, how many of you live in your house?
Only 4 of us. Me, my 2 granddaughters, and my daughter.
So 4 of you live in the house. Christmas is coming. First of all, how have you been managing? How are you managing? I mean, what are your habits like in terms of maybe running up? What you think would run up an electricity bill? What kind of appliances do you have? How do you use maybe ironing, that kind of thing?
I have 2 fans. I iron on Saturdays for my granddaughter. I make sure her uniform is ironed every Saturday for the week. And my daughter ironed her uniform because she worked and for the week. So I don't have no air condition. I have 1 fridge, 1 microwave, and that's it.
Talk about
and
how...
Only 1 TV in the house.
1 television. Talk about how it feels to be a single woman trying to struggle and make ends meet, even with the holiday season looking you in the face. And here it is, you are saddled with a $3,000 plus electricity bill that you have no idea under the sun how it got to that, and nobody is showing up to try and get it resolved for you.
And no one, and it's hard, Shanique, it's hard. And every time you go there to BPL, they have an attitude. Like, you shouldn't come to me, just pay the bill. They keep telling me, I got to pay this. I say, no, I am not paying this. That's why I had to involve my apostle in it. I had to tell him, pray for me, keep me covered. And he went with me several times up to BPL to solve this problem. All we keep getting is, they can send a technician,
No technician has showed up. Meanwhile, well, thank God it's been cool in the last week, because I imagine you would be roasting. But let's just talk about the holiday season that's looking you in the face. I mean, you obviously want to have your power on for the holiday season with your grandkids and your daughter.
Yes. And my granddaughter's only 4 months.
Oh, one of them is as young as 4 months.
4 months.
How are they managing though at night? I mean, because sunset now after 5. How are you all managing in the evening?
Well, we manage, by the grace of God, we manage. and we give God thanks for it.
How is this further makes life difficult for you? The cost of living is what we know it is. The grocery store is what it is. And now you have this bill that you don't even know how it got to that.
I shouldn't think I'm trying to figure that out too myself, you know. I'm trying to figure out what, and I'm keep going up there, and all they're saying they can send a check. And when if a check do come, they saying that's an accurate bill. That's not accurate. How is it accurate? How?
If you
from 31 to $3,000 something dollars.
Did they say maybe something is wrong with the meter? Is that what they suspect, or what is it they want to come and look at?
Well, when we had a little rain and little thunder and lightning, there was a fire on top of the pole, on top of the roof, and we called BPL to solve that problem. So when they solved that problem, they put me on a temporary leash. And when they put it on it was still on a temporary leash up until the end of last month when they cut it on. They had to go and fix it.
Well, I tell you,
and that's it.
I really hope that BPL is paying attention this evening, someone to get you some resolution. Number one, get you some answers, explain your bill to you. And if the bill is overcharged, as many people are complaining, you're not the only one. If you have been overcharged, that they would obviously come and bring some resolution to your plight. Because you have an infant, in your house. You have a school-age child in your house. And certainly I imagine it's not easy to make ends meet. I mean, what have you been doing since Monday and tonight, and in terms of
trying to gather some funds in case if I go up there, when I do go up there to just whatever they say I have to pay to put one little something on it, see if they can turn it on for me.
Yeah, but you disagree with what it is, which is
I totally disagree with this $3,000 from $131 to $3,000. Anyone will disagree with that.
I absolutely agree. I agree with you. Well, we will certainly see if we can get you have somebody come out, and hopefully we can make that happen for you so that you can get some answers. If there's obviously there's a discrepancy in the bill, that it can be looked into and be determined that you've been overcharged and they rectify it.
Amen. Okay.
Thank you very much for joining us here on Beyond the Headlines. This is Kim Wallace. Tonight in a relative's house where she lives in the yard, but going back home to no electricity tonight because, again, she is stunned by the amount that her bill is, a huge jump since September to now that she is owing BPL. And as a result, she's been disconnected. So I hope that you can get some answers, Kim Wallace. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you once again. Listen, don't go anywhere because when we come back, the Pilots Association is here. And they're here to talk about that exam that's mandatory that every pilot flying in the skies of the Bahamas must take by January 31st. They say, We're going to hear more right after this break. Stay close.
Michelle. What up, y'all? It's your girl, K. Michelle. December the 28th, I'm going to be in the Bahamas. I'm coming to sing some songs. Yes, Bahamas, K. Michelle. We gonna light some candles tonight. Very special.
Life Jennings.
Yo, what's up? Nassau, Bahamas. Life Jennings is performing December 28th.
And Jay Holiday.
Yo, what's good, man? It's me, your boy Jay Holiday. I'm going to be performing live on Saturday, December 28th.
At the Nassau Cruise Port. Early bird tickets are now available online. Powered by 103.5 The Beat. Nightlife Entertainment. Alpha Sound Promotions. Free Bands Entertainment. 242 Party and Playhouse.
See y'all. Bahamas, December 28th.
Edenwell has expanded their testing menu. We now offer blood work, drug screening, and so much more. Our hours of operation are Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Saturday, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m., located on 11 Madera Street. We are here for all of your laboratory needs, with fast and reliable lab work done by our friendly and knowledgeable staff. Let us help you take the needed steps to stay in the know about your health. Let's keep working towards a healthier you. Stay eatin' well.
Tired of driving around from place to place just to get your car insured and licensed? Frustrated with the process of being back and forth from your insurance company to road traffic? Well, BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers just made insuring and licensing your motor vehicle as easy as 1, 2, 3. Step 1. Visit us at the Road Traffic Department, Section 1, Thomas A. Robinson Sports Stadium. At our office, you can purchase or renew your insurance or get your vehicle inspected. We at BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers represent major carriers. Step 2. See the professionals at Road Traffic to get your vehicle licensed. Step 3. Enjoy your day. Insure with BMG Insurance Agents and Brokers today, saving you time and money. Your one-stop shop for all of your insurance needs. Great rates, convenient, excellent service. For more information, call us at 322-2221.
So you want a space, but not just any space. You need something with a little more potential. So how about 1,000 square feet of room to play with? Superb audio and video production capability, digital LED wall, full lighting grid, and about 124 seats to accommodate a full studio audience with so many other features. Make us your home for your next concert, conference, and so much more. Honestly, the possibilities are endless. Here at ILTV Studios, we'd love to bring your next event to life. So what do you say? Do you want our space?
Welcome back to Beyond the Headlines. Well, there is unrest among pilots tonight. The issue is the Bahamas Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association is concerned that they are being ignored by the Ministry of Tourism and Aviation as well as the Civil Aviation Authority. Why? Well, the association feels a mandatory exam that every pilot must have done by January 31st is not applicable to Bahamian pilots, does not address safety, and is not suited to flying in this region. So just what does the exam cover? Well, joining me this evening is President of the Bahamas Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association, Mornell Brown, as well as Vice President of the association, Sean Longley. Gentlemen, good evening to both of you. It's great to have you here, and welcome to the show.
Welcome, Shanique, and good evening, Bahamas.
Good evening, Shanique. Good evening, Bahamas.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. You guys don't run ahead of me. Thank you very much. Many see this move to bring and introduce stricter regulations to the aviation industry is a good thing. So let's talk about why pilots beg to differ on this matter.
The mandatory airlaw exam, it isn't bringing a stricter regulation to the industry. The industry is already heavily regulated. The exam was brought about by an audit that the Bahamas undertook back in, I think it was 2 years ago, and they had some findings, and that was one of the findings that the authority claims that came up in the findings.
Which was what?
Which was that they need to implement an exam for all Bahamian pilots. But the thing about it is that you giving the pilots an exam that flies in the Bahamian airspace, that an American pilot flying an American registered aircraft in the Bahamian airspace does not affect them. It only affects the Bahamian pilots in the Bahamian airspace.
Well, I kind of thought about that, but you all fly to other airspaces that you all don't necessarily have to take their exams, no?
No, you don't take no exam going into to fly into the United States. You already have an American license. The Bahamian license was based on the American license. And back in 2009, when I got my license, I came home with my American license, went to the authority, filled out the application, sat an open book exam, 10 questions, and an interview by Mr. J.U. Edwards. That was the validation. now we at this point where the Bahamas jumped the gun and they're now an issuing state. How did we get an issuing state when we don't even have the proper curriculums, we don't have the proper schools in place, but we're an issuing state?
So you're saying that the Bahamas cannot be an issue, and issuing you mean obviously this exam to license or provide a Bahamian sort of license for pilots?
A pilot can't start from zero to a commercial pilot in the Bahamas today. But this exam is to give you a Bahamian license. You still have to go to America or wherever abroad to get a license and then come back to the Bahamas and sit another exam for them to issue the license.
Well, isn't it, Sean, and then of course you, Sir Monel, you can respond, but isn't it good to know that the Bahamian authorities are trying to have this local license so that we know that the pilots in these aircraft flying through and through the Bahamas, that they are worth their weight and they actually know what they're doing?
But Shanique, that's the problem now. The pilots already have a license. They're already qualified to fly.
But it's an American issued license, no?
The Bahamian license is based on your American license. So they validate your American license and give you a Bahamian license. You already have a license. You can't fly Bahamas there. You can't fly Western there, or no Bahamian registered aircraft without a Bahamian license. So we already have this license. And this would have the industry perplexed right now. All right? I've been flying in the Bahamas for 30-some years. Other pilots have been flying for 40-some years. Why is it now that we need a license to say we're safe?
But the thing is,
it doesn't make sense.
Gentlemen, what I want to say, isn't it still good to have something that sort of certifies you locally? This test and this exam will obviously cover what's local and applicable right here to fly through our skies.
No, Shanique.
Is it not, Monel?
No, Shanique. The Bahamas Civil Aviation Authority, they missed a very valuable or a very place in history in the Bahamas by creating their own air law exam. Would put them in a position in the Bahamas to start from here. They went to Europe, copied and pasted an EASA exam, and then gave it to the Bahamian pilots and pushed it down our throats. They bullied us.
No material.
No material. The first 3 months when the exam was rolled out, you couldn't find no proper study guide. You couldn't find nowhere. And then they came back and say, well, listen, you have to register by this time. All right?
You mean the same exam that must be done by January 31st?
Same exam that must be done by January 31st.
It is not a local, is not information based on flying locally?
There ain't no mountain in the Bahamas. There ain't no snow in the Bahamas. There ain't no volcano in the Bahamas. Listen, we at the association, we wrote the authority 2 times, 3 times. Listen, let's have a discussion, because this what you're trying to do is not right. All right?
So wait a minute though, the test, this exam by January 31st, it covers topics like flying through mountains, flying through snow, sleet, what?
Landing at Heathrow Airport in London.
Landing Heathrow Airport in London.
What Heathrow Airport? So you all are really saying that this exam really appears to be a cut and paste operation?
It is 100%.
It is. What happened is when after the audit, one of the findings were, okay, how did you went from a validating state to an issuing state? Because you issued licenses to people who you wasn't supposed to issue the license to, right? Then they came back and they say, well, fix it. So they went, and, they go on to call the counterparts, because our regulations similarly mirror some of the regulations in Europe. So they went to Europe and they got an exam and they say, here, take it or leave it. Or come January 31st or February 1, the Bahamian aviation industry can come to a standstill, because you have tourists. And like the minister liked to talk about, tourists. Tourists is our big engine that drives the economy. But we have tourists who are already prepaid for their vacation, coming to do their vacation in the Bahamas. What can happen to them? We have people on the Family Islands who depend on the local commuters. Not just Bahamas Air. Bahamas Air only holds 25% of the industry.
Yes.
There are other parts of the industry that the stakeholders need to have a voice. You need to contact the stakeholders and talk to them. Listen, how we could fix this. Don't just push it down their throat, because the people who depend on getting their grocery when the mailboy don't come on time, they could be affected. The people who live in
wait a minute, it sounds as though you were saying the pilots have taken a position the association and its members have taken a position and they are not going to be minded to actually sit this exam. Is that what you're saying?
No, Shanique, they put us in this position. They give us a deadline. They were very ambitious. You have over 400, close to 500 pilots in the Bahamas, and you give them a deadline to take this exam. They're very ambitious.
When did they launch this exam? When did they let you all officially know, listen, this is what you all have to do?
They launched the exam June, somewhere in June.
How many pilots have sat it?
Like about 15, maybe 20.
So what's causing the others to be reluctant and stench?
Well, Shanique, like I say, first of all, it's no material out there for the exam.
Also, it's nothing, no study guide, nothing at all.
No, you have to purchase an app online to get the material. You know, then there's limited space to take the exam. So even if everyone was to take the exam, it's not going to be sufficient space to take the exam by January 31st. So you would have pilots offline.
Where's the exam sat? Here or
right
online
here
in
by
Europe?
Civil Aviation.
Civil Aviation.
Yes.
But even with the people are stenching simply because, one, their license isn't expired yet.
Yes.
Right? That's one of the things why they're extension. The other thing is that it's all new information. When you go to do your pilot's license, some courses they offer up to 6 months to a year. So it's all new information now that they're trying to give you. You can't retain that in 2 months. And when you finish studying, nothing you get from it, because I've been through the questions, nothing in there that you could, well, I shouldn't say nothing. 80% of it is garbage. You can't take nothing.
Doesn't apply here.
Doesn't apply. You can't take it and say, this can make me a better aviator.
Well, safety has been an issue for Bahamians, especially after some incidents that happened. Is there a part of this exam, this very mandatory, very important exam that is a part of the overhaul of the industry, the industry of civil aviation, is there a part that addresses safety?
There's 0% of this exam being about safety. And the pilots took offense to the minister when he came on. He said that this is to enhance pilots in the Bahamas. This exam can't enhance no pilots. Pilots go through rigorous training every 6 months. Before you go to a different airport, you're supposed to do your research on the airport. That's what's called flight planning. So this has nothing to do with safety. Pilots on the whole are safe.
Yeah, the minister, I in between with him because he don't quite know or understand the aviation aspect of it to that point. The people who are advising him, I blame them. Because
have you all requested a meeting with him, with the Civil Aviation Authority, with whomever it needs to be met with to be able to get these issues addressed? I mean, after all, gentlemen, in case you all didn't know, it's December.
Shanique, we sent the first letter the association sent out was October 2nd or 3rd. The second was a follow-up letter, October 22nd.
Addressed to whom?
The first letter was addressed to the Director General of Civil Aviation, Mr. Alex Ferguson. The next letter was copied to his boss, the minister. We got one answer so far, and that was one word, received. Dr. Kenneth Romer was copied on the email. So they know the position of the association, they know the position of the stakeholders and all the members of the association. But what happened is, they only like to speak to Bahamas Air and Bahamas Air Union. They don't want to speak to the other operators.
No.
The other operators hold more.
Which is larger than the Bahamas Air Pilots Union.
Well, way larger.
Well, gentlemen, were pilots at least consulted? And obviously it appears not, because you said this exam was brought straight from Europe. That it's a different destination, different, I imagine, flying conditions, things to be mindful of, pay attention to, like volcanoes, like snow, like sleet, like all that stuff. And so were you all consulted as a body? Were you all consulted at all?
That's the sad part about it, is that the regulation from Civil Aviation Authority, right? International Civil Aviation Authority mandates, which the Bahamas is a member, mandate that they must give 1 year consultation. 1 year, Article 42. And they refused to do that. They didn't do that. But they just came.
1 year consultation with the stakeholders, you all?
Yes, with the stakeholders, before implementing any policy. And they have done that. They have not came to the table yet.
Do you think this was a rush, given everything that's been happening in the industry, unfortunately, the incidents that have happened? Do you think this was sort of a rush to say, hey, listen, we cleaning this up.
No,
we getting them in shape?
No, Shanique, they had enough time. The issue is they didn't stand up to the FAA. The FAA give them, listen, you all have to do this. Y'all went from a validating state to issuing state. Show us how y'all get there. Okay, there's so much other options. They could have visited. They decided that they're gonna ram this down our throat and say, listen, that's the posture, that's the position they take. So that's why we're here.
And the stakeholders' position is, how did we get to this point?
How did we get to this point?
How did we get to this point? We've been flying for 30 years without having to do an exam to validate our license. How did we get to this point? Civil aviation has yet to answer us on that question. So we don't know.
They don't want to acknowledge us as an association because you have all the operators coming together, voicing their concerns. All the stakeholders come into the table to voice their concerns.
How large is your membership?
Well, we have over 100 and something members, like 140 members.
The bulk of the flying.
And there are people calling every day trying to join the association.
So, and where do you fly? Because obviously areas where Bahamas Air doesn't go and also provide other services, yes?
Well, we cover the whole Bahamas because everything is on-demand charter, right? Or basic private flying for the vast majority of the stakeholders, right? So you have destinations like, let's say, Fresh Creek, where Bahamas Air don't go. Great Harbor Key, parts of Eleuthera, Exuma Keys, Bimini, Cat Island. These destinations, Bahamas Air don't go. So you have the Western Air, the Lee Air, the Pineapple Air, the Flamingo Air. These are the people who, stakeholders in the industry who, listen to them. They professionals, they've been doing this for years. Listen to them and garner what they saying and let's come together and let's make the aviation in the Bahamas a better aviation.
Well, it must be. It's urgent that it happens. Because I want to ask you, gentlemen, what is the state of general aviation? There's concern with the entire compound and in particular there, where I'll tell you how we see it. Just listen, correct me if I'm wrong. We see it as a little hacking operation. Does this exam apply to those pilots as well? And is it also, please explain that. And how general aviation is viewed.
First of all, Shanique, the guys are heavily regulated by civil aviation. Ain't no hacking per se, like fellas out there hacking. People fly their friends or they fly and Part 91 under the regulations allow them to do that.
Or private flying.
Private flying. It ain't no hacking. They ain't going to just solicit in business, advertising that, hey, come fly with me, and they don't have a charter license. That's not the case at general aviation. There are some people who, they frequently move between the islands.
And on top of that, Shanique, you have hundreds of thousands of foreign private flyers coming through the Bahamas.
They do.
All right? So that's not an issue. So why is the issue with the Bahamian private flyers?
They do.
All right? It's a part of aviation. It's a whole part of aviation.
What needs to happen, gentlemen? Because it's obviously this overhaul of the industry is important, but certainly not without your participation and willingness. What needs to happen? Number one, just to be recognized and acknowledged, number one, I guess it starts from there. But what needs to happen? Because again, it's basically the middle of December.
Well, first of all, I think civil aviation needs to come clean. They need to explain to the stakeholders, how did we get to this point? All right? And don't blame it on the airport getting a Tier 1 rating so we can maintain international flights. Because the common man out there know better than that. You can't tell me a pilot exam is going to cost the airport to get downgraded. The pilots is not accepting that. We want to be treated with respect. We want to know what's going on. And we want to grow the industry, but you have to treat us with respect. You just can't come and throw things down our throat.
Shanique, I'll tell you this. Mr. Michael Allen, may his soul rest in peace. He was a director of civil aviation. He used to have annually and quarterly meetings with the stakeholders in the industry. He has not had a meeting with this director today.
None.
Who's the director?
Director Alex Ferguson. No meeting.
And how long a time has it been?
More than 3 years.
Yeah.
How y'all operating and no meeting and no talk and no communication?
Because he has taken the posture, him and the top part of the authority has taken the position that, listen, we are the authorities.
Competent authority.
And this is what it is. At least with Mr. Allen, we used to call it, we can go blow some steam. We can go, even if nothing happens, we can go voice our concerns. We don't even have that.
But how do you move forward? And how do you move forward as a unit and as a safe flying community if there is no communication?
Well, we'll keep writing the papers and keep letting the public know exactly how we feel and exactly what the position of the association is. The association is not there to to pull nobody down. We won't work with the authorities. We want to make aviation.
You're not being antagonistic.
No, we want to make aviation better in the Bahamas. We want to set ourselves apart in the Caribbean.
But
we
it
want
has
to be
to
the
make
best.
sense.
It has to make sense.
You can't be studying mountains.
No,
when
it has to make
when
sense.
you're flying through blue skies.
You have people. It don't make no sense. You have people who have invested time, their assets, their resources to get to this point. To build their own company, and for you to just sit by and the exam, it just don't make no sense. You can't ask a pilot to sit an exam in the Bahamas that talks about what do you do when you have a problem taking off for London. Well, we taking off with the Bahamas.
Hold on, wait.
They are some of the questions.
You mean the question really say pointedly, what do you do when you are taking off from Heathrow?
What do you do? I've been going through the exam just to, apprise myself of what in there, and that's some of the questions.
It's London, Nassau.
Probably.
It gotta make sense, y'all. It's 2025. It has to make sense, gentlemen. What happens January 31st if you all are not granted the meeting, are not responded to be able to have the exam make sense? You obviously you're not rejecting taking an exam.
Just
you're saying,
not this one.
What exam? Not this thing from Europe where their weather conditions are totally different. Their terrain is different. What happens January 31st?
Well, there are going to be a lot of delays. There are going to be a lot of people missing their flights.
Cancellations.
And there's going to be a lot of cancellations because the competent authority put the industry in a position where they can't do no different. The civil aviation takes a break, I think the 15th of this month. So you have from the 15th to the 1st where you can't even sit an exam. So people, that section is already blocked out.
Wow.
So they didn't think it through, and now they don't want to come back to the industry because they feel like they're going to look bad. No, we all adults. Let's have a candid conversation to figure this out.
But I tell you this, the flying public needs it. They urgently need you all to figure it out, get back to the table, make it make sense, and then move forward. We will continue to follow this. I thank you so much, President of the Pilot, Aircraft and Owners Association, Mornell Brown, as well as Vice President of the Association, Sean Longley. Gentlemen, thank you both very much for being here on Beyond the Headlines. We will obviously follow this up in the new year and see exactly what's going on. Thank you for being here this evening, and we look forward to further discussions in the new year.
Thank you, Governor.
And have a good night, Bahamas.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank all of you so much for tuning in. Thanks to all of our guests at the top of tonight's show: Michael Turnquist, Ellington Ferguson, of course, Kim Wallace, who tonight couldn't even watch the show as she had to go back home to the darkness. Power off, BPL. Please see about that issue. And also, of course, to the gentleman here from the Pilots Association, Mornell Brown, Sean Longley. Thank you both. And I want to thank all of you tuning in this evening. We certainly enjoyed having you along, and we look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow evening. For the entire Beyond the Headlines team, I'm Shanique Miller. Make it a great evening, everyone.